Hello and good afternoon, Xbox Nation. Welcome to today's brand new episode of the Xbox Factor podcast. I am one of your hosts, Mr. Boomstick XL, and I have an incredible show lined up for you. But of course, I can't do a show unless I have two, I don't even know if you can call them rookie sensations. I just think they're podcast professionals at the highest caliber. We're going to start with Pong Soul, my brother from another. What's going on, dude? Welcome to the show.
Man, it feels like it's been forever, Boom.
Isn't it always like that?
Yes, especially with the holiday weekend. I had a busy weekend, so I haven't been around much. I haven't been gaming as much as I wanted to and stuff. But man, you know what? It's Tuesday. It's time to get back into the flow. I couldn't find a better way to do it than to be here with you. And of course, you got my brother from another, Mav, here with us. I haven't been able to talk to him lately at all this weekend, so this is going to be fun. We got some great topics and definitely a lot to talk about as we come up on E3. So let's definitely get down to it here.
Well, I appreciate you being here for sure. And of course, we have to welcome in Mav. You know him, Fun Speculation. He does a lot in this community. Not only does he have a pop culture podcast, but he also has one of the best shows on Friday evening at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time called the Xbox Ultimate Podcast. And Pong Soul, you are one of the, as you call it, Magnificent Seven. Mav, welcome to the program there, brother. How you feeling?
I am doing absolutely fantastic. I love being here with Pong, my brother from another, and you as well, Boom. It's always an absolute pleasure. Hey, I know we're going to have fun on this show because we have some interesting things to talk about. E3 is around the corner. I'm getting excited. I can't wait. Let's get into this.
Well, you know what? Obviously, as a terrible host, I didn't have the gameplay running in the background. I'm going to add that momentarily, folks. So just don't worry. We're going to be getting back to what you know and love about Double Barrel Gaming. But I do want to open up with some, of course, E3 talk. Now, E3, folks, officially is going to start for Xbox gamers not this upcoming Sunday, but the following Sunday on June 13th at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Of course, Double Barrel Gaming, along with just about everybody in the entire neighborhood, is going to be doing one show or another. It's going to be packed with content. And of course, Double Barrel Gaming is going to have you covered because we're going to be doing a watch party. That show is going to start at 12:30 p.m. I'm putting an absolutely monster panel together. We're going to be doing some pre-show talk. And then, of course, we're going to sit there and hopefully have our minds blown as Phil Spencer and the crew talk about what the future of Xbox looks like. And then afterwards, we're going to segue right into a post-conversation show. So it should be a show that runs about 2.5 hours, potentially even 3, and hopefully you'll join. Also, real quick, everyone has been asking, I've been getting the DMs and questions on social media. Super chats have been added back. They have been activated. The work that Mrs. Boomstick and I have been doing behind the scenes to transition the channel from a singular entity into a branded channel has been done and approved by YouTube. So channel memberships are active. If you would like to re-up your subscription to Double Barrel Gaming to help us, obviously, keep funding these big giveaways that we're doing. And also the super chats and super stickers have been reactivated. So of course, if you want to help again continue funding the big events that Mrs. Boomstick and I do on a yearly basis for giveaways, we would greatly appreciate that. But I got to get into, as we wait for, people to file in. We already have 100 people here, and that is pretty awesome. I want to get into some of the things we are expecting, or hopefully, I guess you can call them wish picks for E3. I asked the panel to give us 3, so I will go first. The biggest one for me personally, and I've been going at this for many, many years, is not my number one, but one of my 3 picks has to be the reimagining, the remake, whatever you want to call it, of Banjo and Kazooie. It is a platformer. It is a family fun title. It is something that when looking over the Microsoft repertoire, or forte, if you will, is something that they are severely missing. Sure, there's Super Lucky's Tale. Sure, there are other family friendly games, but no one stands out like the duo of Banjo Kazooie. I almost find it to be insulting as a diehard Xbox fan that we don't actually have a new one, even when you see remakes like the Mass Effect remake that just recently came out. Not only are people yelling in the streets of how amazing it is, but people are happy to return to that franchise that meant so much for so many people. And for me, as someone that grew up with platformers, who still plays them and enjoys them just as much as I did when I was much younger, I find it to be head scratching that we have not had even a remake of the original. And there are so many incredible teams that could take that on. We're going to thank Matt Burns. Matt Burns, welcome back to, of course, Double Barrel Gaming. Thank you so much, Matt. Definitely appreciate that as well. So that's my first pick. It's definitely Banjo-Kazooie. I don't know. Honestly, if you asked me, what do you want? Do you want a sequel, or do you want a remake of the original, potentially relaunching the series? I'm not sure. I don't know if I would take one or the other, but I definitely would take a new Banjo-Kazooie. Mighty Ryan in the chat drops a very generous $2 super sticker. Thank you for that, Ryan. Definitely appreciate you being here. Pong Soul, let's get to you. What is one of your wish picks for E3 2021 when it's talking about Xbox?
This is a good one, Boom. I thought we were going to keep it a little bit more realistic, but you know what? Since you went with Banjo and Kazooie and we're going wishing here, I guess I'll go out here a little bit. But this one was promised. Phil promised us this on stage, and this was years ago, and it's something that I have been longing for a very long time, and that is Final Fantasy 14.
Oh, okay. I do remember that promise. Yes.
Yep. The MMO. I get into MMOs for a bit. I was into ESO, Elder Scrolls Online, heavy on the PS4. And since I can't bring my character over to Xbox, which sucks, I am looking for a new MMO, and I have been wanting to get into Final Fantasy 14. And because Phil made this promise to us, I think it's time to finally come through with that. I know this is a Square problem, but at the end of the day, we got to make this happen because I want to jump into that world. It looks so fun, and it brings back those old school feels for me, and I definitely want to see that on Xbox. So there you go.
And that's a big one. You're not the first person, certainly, to talk about that particular MMO. I'm not an MMO guy, so honestly, I did not miss it. But for people who are currently on the PlayStation playing Final Fantasy 14 and quite enjoying it, it's actually very surprising that they cannot figure out a way to get that to work on an Xbox, and why it hasn't happened, considering that Phil Spencer, head of Xbox himself, actually said it. I would love for someone to write a book and give us the skinny on what is exactly going on with that. CYV Studios in the chat drops a very generous $2 super chat and says, finally, Scats are back. Let's go, panel. Well, thank you, dudes. Definitely appreciate the generosity that you have shown this channel. We definitely, Mrs. Boomstick and I definitely appreciate that. But let's go to Mav. Mav, I want to get your opinion on this. Where do you fall? What are one of your top three almost must-haves at E3 2021 for Xbox?
I really want Avowed or Fable, one of the two. And pick one. I don't care which one, just one of the two. I need to see some gameplay and a little bit of information, attention brought to one of those titles, because I need it for myself. I just want to get even more excited about one of those two games, either Avowed or Fable. Please don't do the thing where you showed it to us last year and then you hide it for 2 years. Like I need to see it again. Like if I could pick one out of the two, I would say Fable, because we did get a hint at gameplay in the Avowed trailer, right?
Yes,
So
yes.
I have in my mind, right, what that game is going to look like. So I'm a little bit more satisfied right now with what I've seen from Avowed, but I know Fable's been in development for what seems like a while, with all the rumors going back for a few years now.
Well, if
Uh,
you recall, Mav, one of the reasons, and again, folks, you can look this up. I don't have the notes to give you, so if you could say Boom's a liar or not, but I certainly recall the conversation. And if you recall, many of the studios that first joined Xbox Game Studios post E3 2018 were because they of some of the games that they were working on that Phil saw and was like, we got to get those games. From what we understand, the original game that Playground was working on was not Fable, was changed to Fable. So you're right. I think you're onto something here when you say the game has been in development in one shape or form for quite some time.
yeah, and we know there's all these RPGs coming out. We know we're gonna see Starfield, right? So that one I think we're gonna probably see a little bit of a glimpse of. And the Xbox has this MO of like showing us something and then not really following up on it for a while. You know what I mean? And that's it makes sense, that's what happens with early reveals, right? But if we get a glimpse at one of these games and actually get a feel for like the gameplay and get to see it in more depth, then that gives us more hope that it's a little bit sooner than later, as well. So Fable is one of my favorite franchises ever. And to be able to see it back on stage at E3 in a big way would just make me extremely happy. And the same thing with Avowed, just because it's a new IP, right? Coming out as an Xbox first party exclusive also gives me like a similar excitement. So one of those two, but preferably Fable. I just need to see more.
You know what? I agree with you. I think that we are in a I don't want to sound negative. I'm all about positivity and pushing the Xbox brand to its, putting its best foot forward. But I think that we are in a position where, a couple of years ago, and I was part of this crowd. I said Microsoft needs to show us, if they don't want to show us gameplay, they got to show us some trailers. They need to sell us hope. They need to pull a Sony, and Sony is good at selling hope. And Sony, obviously, if you go back to 2015, the quote unquote year of dreams, right? Now, granted, a lot of those games took many, many years to finally, be put out for us to enjoy and play, but they paved, they gave us a real, unbelievably look behind the curtain. And I think that what you're saying isn't much different than what we're going to talk about later on when we start talking Halo. There's been a couple of the story drop today that is so spicy, folks, that is so revealing that it has been officially pulled from 2 websites, and only one of those websites have it up. I was able to pull all of the content from it. It is from friend of the show, Jeff Grubb, who we had on a couple of weeks ago on Prime Time Gaming, and he had some things to say that it set the fire in me that we're going to have a very serious conversation much later. Now, again, I know that a lot of people walked away from last year's E3 not as satisfied as me. I thought they had an amazing show last year. I walked away absolutely satisfied, and I've already said that they have to at least top what they did last year. Do I think that's going to happen? 100%. I think that we're going to all walk away very satisfied. The gameplay aspect of it is where I don't know. I don't know what we're gonna see. I think if I were a betting kind of a guy, not really into gambling, but if I was a betting kind of a guy, I would imagine that what we are going to see and what gameplay we are going to be privy to are games that are going to be coming out in the next 12 to 18 to even 24 months. The next 2 years of games, I think that we could get some sort of gameplay snippets. But I do want to say welcome Thanaros. He's become a channel member once again. Thanaros, brother, thank you for supporting Double Barrel Gaming. And Dan the Man Cunningham, how you doing there, Dan? He drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, greetings all. Glad to see you bring back the super chats. Well, thanks, brother. I appreciate that. Boom. Happy to do my part to keep this train rolling. Keep on the Lord's work. Well, thank you for the very, very generous $5 super chat, but more importantly, the extremely kind message as always, Dan. But I want to get to my second pick now. This is something that it's not gonna surprise a lot of people. I'm sorry that I'm not really blowing your skirt up over here, but Killer Instinct 2. I listen, I don't know who's gonna do it. I don't know who has the chops to do it, but I think it's one of those things. Again, I love to step back from a situation and look at the overall picture. I'm never focused on one thing. Like Xbox has too many man shooters or not enough, women, taking the lead. No. That's true, and they do need to make changes in regards to that for sure. But we're going to get that. We're going to get that in Joanna Dark. We're going to get that with, of course, Hellblade 2. And a few other potential female leads, which I think is absolutely fantastic. But going on they don't have enough family-friendly first-party games there, right? Because everyone's like, oh, well, boom, Psychonauts 2. Yes, that's one of them, but it's not out yet, right? So it's not here. They're going to deliver it this year, but I still want more. We have to look at their the fighting game situation. Now, granted, fighters don't hold the same leverage as they did, let's say, like in the 90s, when you had like the Dreamcast, where they had fighters upon fighters, and you had all kinds of incredible 2D and 3D fighters. But they're still relevant. They're still making Soul Caliburs. They're still making Tekkens. We had a couple of years ago a Marvel versus Capcom Infinite, right? We still have, there's a new Guilty Gear coming out. Dead or Alive has something coming out. So the fighting game genre is there. It, again, makes me angry. It makes me scratch my head. Killer Instinct. If you go and play that, I am telling you, you are going to be completely. You know what? While I go to Pong next, I'm going to bring up some footage that I recorded because I'm sitting here just BSing, and I didn't even realize that I didn't add the gameplay. So this is like old school Double Barrel Gaming. That's not the kind of school I want to go to. But Killer Instinct 2. I would love to get something, even if it's just a title screen until you can get someone to make it. Let me know. Let me live. Give me my dream. Pong, let's get to you, brother. What is your second pick for your quote-unquote wish picks for E3?
Well, I've brought this up before, and I've got a gut feeling about this one. So I'm just gonna bring it out right now because I think it's a lot of people's wish on a lot of people's wish lists, and I think that there's something to it, and I think that there is a possibility that we finally get the return of Splinter Cell.
Oh my God! Yes, please. Yes, please.
Yes. I think behind the scenes, I think Phil and his team have heard the outcry that has been going on for years. I think they heard the moans when it was announced that good old Sam Fisher was going to be in a mobile game. Can
I play something for you right now? If the screen went black,
go. It'd be the greatest mic drop moment in years.
And something? Why
happens.
not? Because that Sam Fisher, I don't think people actually realize his beginning starts with Xbox. Remember, they had that exclusive for I don't know if it was 3 months, 4 months. It was about 4 or 5 months that they had that before it released on the PlayStation 2. And that was a big, big exclusive. Why not spend the money and tell Ubisoft, hey, listen, you guys make the game, we'll pay for it, but we'll, they'll publish the game. And or even if you want to just help make it
Yep.
it a 2-year exclusive. Pull a
Yep.
Sony.
Yep, exactly. And since we are in speculation town already right now, Boom,
75 and sunny.
hey, look, unicorns and rainbows are everywhere right now. So look at that poster for the E3, right? Look at the poster. They highlighted some years in night vision green. And those years, 2000, those years was the year that Splinter Cell came out for Xbox, right? You were just talking about it. Night vision green with those specific years. Pretty interesting. I think it can happen.
I didn't even see that. I'm a fraud, folks. I am a fraud host because I'm a fraud detective because I'm usually good at this stuff. I didn't even notice that.
Right, exactly. Now, of course, we are in speculation town, so I'm having some fun here. But again, I think that the desire for a new Splinter Cell is extremely strong. If Ubisoft didn't want to put up the money for it because of whatever their reasons are, whatever the case is, if Microsoft comes in, Phil says, hey, look, guys, this is a big franchise. This is an IP that started on Xbox. Let's bring it back again. We're going to help you out. You guys, again, like you were just talking about, Boom, go ahead, publish it, whatever the case. We'll pay for part of the costs of creating it and developing it, but let's do this. It's a perfect place to bring it back to Xbox again at this point in this now current gen that we are in with the series consoles. It would take a huge leap, and it already used to look gorgeous. Go back and play Conviction. It still looks great to this day, still plays extremely well, especially on a series console. Go back, but let's bring this forward. It's time for Sam Fisher to make his return. What better way? Your night vision green matches our Xbox green. Let's do it. Let's make this happen, and let's go ahead and just drop this bomb during E3. I think it would be fantastic. I'd love it.
Hey, Pong, if this does not happen,
yep,
I'm coming for you.
Mav, I know you've been vacationing in Speculation Town with me here, so it's in your name, okay? I know you've been here with me.
I've been on this hill for 8 years now.
Yep.
It's a generation. They skipped a generation, man. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it still.
You know what? I mean, to both your guys' points. I mean, it doesn't seem ridiculous that Sam Fisher, one of the founding fathers of what you would consider the stealth game, completely misses an entire generation. Like, I mean, how crazy is that? That for almost 8 years, there were no new Splinter Cells. I mean, we've had Assassin's Creed out the yin yang. We've had Watch Dogs. We'd have Division, so on and so forth, of all the incredible franchises that have come and gone for Ubisoft, but no Splinter Cell. And I got to be honest with you, because Microsoft is in a position, like I said, we know that they have the third-party deals coming. We know that we're going to be getting a whole bunch of big announcements specifically for stealth drops into Game Pass during E3. Like, I expect 12 minutes to drop in during E3 for sure, because that's a game we've all wanted to play, and I think that's going to be big. But it would be an absolutely ground-shaking, industry-moving if at the end of their conference we had one more thing, and all you hear is the lights go off. This, again, goosebumps are induced right now, folks. I got goosebumps from head to toe. The lights go dim, the goggles go on, you hear the noise, and all it says at the bottom of the screen, Xbox console exclusive, and they don't even answer any questions. Oh, how long is it going to be? We'll talk about it when we want to talk about it. That's
what you got to do if you're gonna put up if you're gonna drive up the Brinks truck, right, and you're gonna put up the funds, you don't answer any questions anymore. Microsoft is now in a much stronger position with what they're doing. You don't do anything. You just leave it as is and let the fires burn everywhere, because nobody else came in. If this happens, right, nobody else showed up at Ubisoft store, obviously proposing this. Nobody else were the ones that were willing to take the risk and to put their money where their mouths are. So if Xbox does do this, absolutely, you just smile and you just walk right away from the mic and you say, "Go ahead, guys, just let it all burn.
Speculate.
Go ahead, speculate."
Town.
Yep, exactly.
Absolutely.
Here's the what if I can just throw this out there.
Please, by all means.
We all have heard the abundance of rumors about this Ubisoft Plus deal, right?
Yes.
Coming to Game Pass, okay? Now, if Xbox was making a deal for a Splinter Cell with Ubisoft, right, and they did fund part of the development or whatever, that would mean probably they would be coming to Game Pass day one, right? So then I was thinking about that. But okay, so what if you take that a step further? Okay, as part of the grander deal, the much larger deal of bringing Ubisoft Plus to Xbox Game Pass, hey, why not take this character that Ubisoft has not been doing anything with, that they don't know what to do with, and say, hey, okay, we're going to do this deal. We're going to give you the Brinks truck, as you say, Boom. But forever and always now, Sam Fisher's Splinter Cell, that whole franchise will only be exclusive on Xbox ecosystem.
I love it.
He will fund the development of those games as part of that. Deal. Hey, why not throw that in?
Why not? Right. Why not make it like a Spider-Man IP? We Xbox.
Absolutely. That's a great. You know what? That's a great analogy for sure.
Yep.
Why not make him like? Because who says you can? Yeah, okay.
Right.
He is a Ubisoft character, and if they wanted, but if the money is right, why not make him exclusive? And the only place you can play as Sam Fisher in his new adventures would, of course, be either on PC, but it's going to be through Game Pass. So you're going to have to be, a subscriber.
Right. Exactly. Why not do it?
I love it. I think it's fantastic. Real quick, I got to welcome in the sheriff, the guy who carries a very big stick and walks silently all at the same time like a ninja. Lethal Papa becomes a channel member once again. Lethal, thank you for that as always, my brother. Definitely appreciate the support. But Mav, let's get to you, brother. What is your second wish pick for Xbox, and one of the things that you think they absolutely have to have at this 90-minute show?
Okay, so here's something we know they have to have, and this is how I want it presented. Okay, new game announcements. I want a lot of new game announcements. I want the Xbox has no games stuff to finally just be gone forever and evermore. No longer be able to say this. I want there to be a sizzle reel at the end of the show. Okay, before you do the one more thing. Okay, I want there to be the future of Xbox sizzle reel, and I want there to be individual slices of a bunch of games that we have no clue what they are. Don't tell us what these games are. I just want to see them in like 10-second segments, one after the other. Boom, 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 boom. Show us like 15, 20 games and let us pick that sucker apart at the end of the show, dissect and see what the future of Xbox has in store for us, and be able to speculate on what each one of those games could potentially be. I want there to be new game announcements within that where we know exactly what they are, but I also want them to show the future of what's in store that we don't know about, right? They really need to, for some reason, people just can't comprehend that Xbox has all these studios and are actually making all these games, right? It's like it doesn't jive with the way their minds work, right? That, hey, this is the world we live in now. It's not the Xbox that had like 6 studios this is a different team, right? This is a different
Well, it's a
Xbox.
differently run organization with new leadership that understands that the future is in the branding for sure.
Right. So if we have, okay, like 3 big game announcements that are AAA, followed up by this sizzle reel trailer of the future of Xbox with glimpses at stuff that we can't even comprehend what the hell they are. And then one more big shebang at the end, let's say the Splinter Cell thing or whatever, right? I want a sizzle reel at the future of Xbox with a bunch of new game announcements in there. And I want us to be hyped and excited about it. That's one thing. That's my next thing. Yeah.
No, I mean that makes a lot of sense. I mean, listen, I've been saying this for a while. Look. I know there are some people that get like defended, right? They get all bent, out of shape when you say, well, I don't want, Microsoft to become Sony. No one would even suggest a thing. I don't want Sony to be Microsoft, Microsoft to be Sony. But at some point, we have to be shown the future. Like I said, again, I'm not taking away from anything that they have shown. Last year's E3 was a big 8.5 out of 10 for me. I thought it was a big win. I truly appreciated what they brought to the table. I asked for CG trailers. We got them. And we got a bunch of other things that we didn't even anticipate. I mean, they showed so many first-party games there. You really could not have complained, to be honest. And if you did, man, I don't know what else they can do for you. And I said this before on many shows. If Halo would have hit, let's say Infinite hits on all cylinders, that's a 10 out of 10 show, folks. You know what I'm saying? Like, people walk away. That's the best Xbox show in freaking years. If Halo hits. Now, I still think Halo was a good showing. Again, the graphics were not where maybe some people wanted them. I think we're going to get that, and we're going to talk about that in a second, because I got some feelings on the newest story and the new information coming from Jeff Grubb, friend of the show, and I hope it's not true, to be honest with you, because I'm going to be pissed if this comes to fruition. We'll get to that in a second. But my third pick is a much smaller title, and you know what, it's more of it's not so much a game, even though I will mention a game. I am when you look at what Sony does with their titles, they celebrate a lot of their older characters, and one of the things that I want to see, and we're seeing it because we're getting a new Fable, which is great. We're getting Perfect Dark, which is amazing. I again, getting back to the silly family aspect. There are so many first-person shooters. There are so many incredible games on an Xbox that you can enjoy. I would love to see.
I know where you're going.
I would love to see a Viva Pinata come back in a big way. I mean, that was actually, I mean, folks, a couple of weeks ago, Viva Pinata on social media was trending because you can play it on the cloud. Right? Like, people want that type of game. And a Viva Pinata is very, very not similar, but somewhat similar to what you see with like an Animal Crossings, that kind of game that people could sit there and play for hours and enjoy it. And it's a franchise that has not seen any life since the 360. It saw I think it actually, didn't they release it on like Game Boy, if I'm not mistaken?
Oh boy, did they?
I'm gonna have to. That's a deep cut. I'm gonna have to look up. I'm gonna have to fact check myself on that. But yeah, I would love to see them celebrate something like. I mean, listen, we want Rare to continue supporting Sea of Thieves. People really enjoy that. Again, not for boom, but people are enjoying it, and I love seeing that. Everwild. I want to see what that game is. Is it a Breath of the Wild inspired action adventure game? Is it a planting game? Is it a cooking game? I don't know what it is, because it didn't really show us. Is it multiplayer? Do you switch between the 3 characters? I have no idea. And of course, I want them to continue with new IPs. No one's saying, hey, don't do new IPs for old IPs. But I think that Microsoft, specifically Rare, is big enough to have a small team work on a new Viva Pinata. Again, I'm sure no one's going to even talk about this. This is on no one's list, but I think it's important because you're looking to appeal to so many different gamers. You know, remember, they want to hit 2 billion gamers around the world. Well, you have to have family-friendly games. That is something on my list I would love to play. Pong, what is your next pick?
Well, it kind of stole mine because great mind think alike, Boom. So, and just to verify, yes, Viva Pinata was on the DS, by the way. So you were correct.
Literally
there.
looking that up as you said that.
Yes,
so thank you for fact checking me as a host of the show. I appreciate that.
No problem. No problem. But no, Viva Pinata would be absolutely fantastic. It's one of my old favorites from the 360. Absolutely love it, and I think it could make a really big return if they did it right. Of course, I think that it has potential to be one of those games, like you said, Boom, that kind of grab a hold of people. I think what we've seen from Nintendo,
especially on mobile,
right? Especially on mobile. What we've seen Nintendo do is, obviously they've always been that family friendly kind of version of console, but with the Switch and stuff, we've seen a much greater growth in the area of those types of games, and I think Viva Pinata has so much potential that I think that it should make a comeback, and I think that's definitely a great one, Boom. So you kind of stole mine there.
I'm sorry, sir.
No, that's okay. That's okay. I spent a lot of time here in Speculation Town, so I'm going to go more obvious here. But it's my own personal wish because, of course, I've talked about this so much on your show, Boom, and we've been discussing Starfield so often that I want, my wish for Starfield is that this is a blowout showcase.
This man right here.
Yeah, that's God Howard. Yeah, I want to see God Howard come out. I want to see that beautiful man show up who never ages. He's a vampire, and I want to see him come out on stage, and I want him to do his usual big showcase kind of style event with Starfield. I want all the answers to be put to bed. I want everybody to understand what this game is about. I want to, again, my hype levels are because of his track record, right? Because it's his first new IP in decades, and it's one of his babies. Mav has talked about this extensively and gone back and reviewed some of his interviews that he's had. This is his baby. This is one of the big games that he wanted to make. He wanted to make a Fallout style game. He wanted to make an Elder Scrolls style game, and he wanted to make a space game in the mold of Starfield. And so I want to finally see this genius's vision, and I want to see it fully revealed so that I know exactly what I'm going to be hopping into. Again, I don't care what it is. Okay. The only thing that would probably disappoint me is if it came out as a Dance Dance Revolution style game. Okay. Then I might have some issues with God Howard. But until he says that we're going to be dancing in space, I'm down for whatever the heck it is, right? So give it to me. I want to see the gameplay. I want to see God Howard up there smiling as he looks upon his newfound creation, as he reveals it to the world. And I want everybody to be talking about this game. Again, I just want to see Starfield in all of its glory. So that's my biggest wish for E3. I understand that they might hold some of it back if it's a 2022 release. I'm still on the 2021 hill. So this is my wish. I'm going to die
on that hill as well.
This is my wish. This is my wish. This is all a disinformation campaign. They've been tricking everybody to make it an even bigger moment when he says holiday 2021. Right? When he says that it's going to be ready, I just want that. That's what I want. So I
agree with you 100%. I'm like you. I'm going to die on that hill until I'm told otherwise. I'm going to put on a tinfoil hat. I talked about this last week. I'm going to say it again. We obviously know that they have a terrible distaste, and who doesn't, for Jason Schreier. Because the guy's a pompous ass. Yeah, he has good sources and he breaks big stories, but that does not change his character. He's a pompous ass, which is why he blocked me, because that's what I called him, and I'm fine. I'm okay with it. I'm not losing any sleep. But wouldn't it be unbelievably fitting? Wouldn't it be unbelievably satisfying for God Howard, who we know does not like that man,
praise be
to
his
come
name.
out and say, we there were some talk of Starfield coming out in 2022 from somebody in the industry that this, that, and the third. Maybe he even says that we don't really care for, but we're here to tell you that it's coming out October 16th, 2021.
Oh, God.
And it would be glorious.
Goosebumps.
It would be just glorious. Real quick, I want to thank Gamer by Choice, who has become a channel member once again. Gamer by Choice, thank you for the generosity, my brother. Real quick, Tharos, good friend of the show, in here says, I think the Xbox needs an action game like Ninja Gaiden, DMC, or God of War, but an original IP. I'm hoping that what you're onto actually comes to fruition. The original creator, Itagaki, of Ninja Gaiden fame, has been very, very transparent about wanting to work with Microsoft. He has opened up a new studio. He has, he's no longer teaching. He is developing full time. I would love to see that man bring us a Ninja Gaiden inspired original IP, and even if it takes a couple of years, 3, 4, even 5 years to get here, Ninja Gaiden and Ninja Gaiden Black, that released 1 year after the original on the OG Xbox, were monumental exclusives for the brand. Another IP that found life on the Xbox that deserves to be an Xbox exclusive for sure. I'm not sure if you guys agree with that or not, but I would love to see what they could do with either Team Ninja doing a Ninja Gaiden from scratch, or getting together with the original creator and having a spiritual successor of sorts take over for a franchise that is certainly near and dear to my heart. We do want to get to another one super chat. Drawn TJ drops a very generous $10 super chat. Drawn, thank you. Appreciate the generosity. He says, hey, Boom and panel, what I would love for them to announce is Blood and Awake, Splinter Cell, Crimson Skies, and Medal of Honor going into Game Pass day one, with also Battlefield 6 and Ubisoft Plus. I think that the Battlefield 6 is almost a lock. I also think that Ubisoft Plus is an announcement that's going to happen. I would even dare say that Far Cry 6 is the first game to go into Game Pass day and date, because they just announced that For Honor is going into Game Pass. So there's some sort of a Ubisoft connection there. And yeah, Crimson Skies is another one of those OG titles that I think a small team could do and do it justice, at least in my opinion. But Mav, let's get your. Is this our second? Is this the second or third pick?
This is
third pick.
This is the third pick. Okay, I lost count. So okay, Mav, what is your third pick for you hope, or more importantly, wish Microsoft will announce at the big show?
Okay, so. Man, I was gonna go with one. Now it's like I just had something else pop in my mind, and I can't like.
Well, you know what? I'll allow it because I'm obviously running the show. Go crazy and give us both.
Okay, so I'll start with like the one I was gonna start with, which is like more like reasonable. Okay, and that is mind-blowing, earth-shattering gameplay from Perfect Dark.
Oh yes, sir. Please.
The team that they have put together to build this game is like an all-star cast, right? It's top-tier talent from some of the best studios in gaming that have assembled to create this game.
A quadruple A game too, Mav. Don't forget.
Yeah, that's that's a good term. Okay, and I think potentially Drew Murray going back to Insomniac could potentially mean this game was actually further along than we had thought previously. He was heavily involved with the development of this. Maybe it was in a good place. You know what I mean? I don't know. I just know that it was in a playable state.
His daughter was playing it.
And that was not the first time.
No.
If you tweets, she checked it out again with that one, right? And then there's also, we saw Phil Spencer checking it out in their offices before in a picture and stuff. I think we could have some hope for this being either like a mid 2022 game, or hey, if I want to shoot for the stars, this was a surprise 2021 holiday game. I don't know. I'm not going that far out there, but I think it's far enough at least to where we could see some gameplay of that game. And I hope so, because I have been super excited to see the direction that they're going to take that franchise. That hype that they generated from that first trailer was great, but we didn't get to see the game, right? In fact, that trailer won awards, I believe, just recently. It was for
Yes, it did.
something I saw on Twitter.
Yep.
Okay, now I'm going to go crazy. Okay. All right.
Go crazy, sir. Go crazy.
All right. So Gabe Newell walks onto the stage and he says, "Hey, Phil."
Oh, God. Oh,
Steve
no.
is now on Xbox. And Phil says, "Really? That's awesome." And then the screen and everything goes dark. Okay. It goes dark. And then all you see on the screen is the number 3.
Oh my God, dude! People you'd have to call an ambulance for people in the chat.
They don't tell us what it is. It's just
just an orange 3.
It's just like, we now believe in 3. And then they end it, and they just leave it at that. That's what happened.
15 years, and they're gonna do it again, right? It's been 15 years, I think, since they announced number 3 or something close to that. Oh my God, can you imagine?
Yeah, just a 3. That's it. That's all we need.
Just an orange 3, and you don't know when it's coming out. They give you a 20XX. You figure it out for yourself.
Just a 3. That's it.
Oh my God! You know what? I mean, listen. Look, we always, as gamers, as content creators, right? Like we shoot for the stars. Look, I'm honestly never really disappointed if none of my picks ever come true, because a lot of them are some far-fetched ones. I have to say that I think Phil understands the importance of a good showing, for all of their wares. Obviously, I think what we can get out of this show specifically is, because it's their own event, it's controlled, right? It's controlled, so no mistakes can be made. They're not going to be at an E3, stage, and then, something happens with one of the PCs, it heats up, and mid trailer, the game, takes a dump. This is going to be pre-recorded and then put on to, for all of the services for us to watch and judge. So it's a controlled event. So that's actually a good thing, that it's a controlled event, simply because there are not going to be any mistakes. So listen, everyone had amazing picks, and obviously that is you know what I think, what Mav did, there's an edge to Speculation Town. I've never crossed the edge. He has, and he's still alive. So I'm going to start crossing this more often. Mav has crossed the edge of madness, and he's still here to talk about it. So you know what? Good on you. Right? I love it, dude. Real quick, I have to catch up on some of these super chats. First of all, we have let's see, we had quite a few come in. First of all, Outbreak Podcast drops a very generous $3 super chat and says, "Boom shakalaka. Everyone hit the like button." Well, thank you for being here, brother. He's usually here first every time. Thank you for the generosity. New channel member, The Wise Old Gamer. Thank you, brother, for supporting Double Barrel Gaming. And we had another super chat come in from Coates McGoats. Oh, I love the name, dude. Thank you. He drops a very generous $5 super chat, and he actually says something here that's interesting. Microsoft needs to revive Blinks, the Time Cat. You know what? I would sanction that. In some capacity, it could be Xbox Ratchet and Clank. You know what? Why not bring back Blinks the Cat in full HD 4K? And then we have a monster super chat coming in from Gamer by Choice, generous friend of the show. He drops a $25 super chat. It says, just supporting my brother Bowman panel. I want Tom Clancy's world where you play as rainbow agents, ghost splinter agents, and you can level up RPG elements. You know what, dude? It's funny you say that. I have a friend of mine that he's now he's a lieutenant. He actually has been saying that for years. He wanted an overarching world for, like, if you were like playing Ghost Recon. If you remember the fighter jet game that they had that came out from Ubisoft, you could call an airstrike and it could be your friends playing on another game. That would be awesome. I'd love to see a massive Rainbow Six, Ghost Recon, and Splinter Cell crossover to some extent, or even a Division for that matter. I would love to see that for sure. Let's see, did I get caught? Okay, yeah, so I'm caught up on all of the super chats. You know what? Let's get into what people have been waiting for, and let's get into the story that I think is going to shock a lot of people. Folks, listen here. At Double Barrel Gaming, we go out of our way to make sure that when we're going to talk about a specific situation, we always bring, or at least I always make sure that I have documentation to back up the story that I'm about to talk about. Well, I think it's safe to say that out of everything that everyone is expecting at E3, and I'm talking all three companies. I'm talking about, we're expecting maybe we're going to get a new God of War trailer, maybe get some, subtle gameplay. Nintendo's going to potentially show off, the new console, or maybe even Breath of the Wild 2, or maybe even Metroid Prime 4, or an announcement of the trilogy. We're all expecting something from one of the big three. But I think it's safe to say, without even stuttering, without even making a suggestion that I could be wrong, the biggest play for Xbox has to be Halo Infinite for 1,000 reasons, and then I can think of 1,000 more. Master Chief is Xbox. Xbox is Master Chief. And for a lot of reasons, I can easily just say, well, it's the 20th anniversary of both Halo, Xbox, and more importantly, one of the most iconic heroes in gaming, Master Chief. They have to do it up big. They have to do a big deep dive into what the new Halo is going to be. Well, folks, sit back and hold on, because I think this is going to get really messy. Speaking on his Game Mess show, friend of this program, friend of the community for that matter, Jeff Grubb revealed that at E3 2021, showing of the game is not, and I repeat with a capital N-O-T, going to be a deep dive into the game, as creating assets for the conference would take precious time away from development. This is according to Jeff Grubb himself. The showing will be mostly focused upon multiplayer and cater mostly to the hardcore fans. Jeff Grubb also touched upon the Halo Infinite multiplayer modes. According to The Insider, the upcoming entry in the series will feature modes that players love, like Capture the Flag at launch, which is, of course, super important, and new modes will only be added down the road, which is a bit of a head scratcher. Now, while Jeff Grubb proved to be a reliable source in the past, according to the story that I pulled from, where did I get this from? I got this from Game Rant. Now, that this story has been pulled. The only story that I believe has it up is that has the story still live, according to Pong Soul. And Mav was WCCF Tech, and I can pull that story and potentially, if it's still live, add it to the show notes so you could check it out. But here's the thing. While Jeff Grubb has proven to be a reliable source in the past, we have to take everything he revealed with a grain of salt, according to the article. As last year's Halo Infinite's big showing was focused on single-player mode, it makes sense for Microsoft to now show more of the multiplayer mode, so it's highly likely we're going to learn more about that matter in a few days. Listen, folks, I have to, pull off my glasses, sit back in my chair, and really start to rev this engine, because here's the thing. I folks, listen. If there's one thing that I will take my staff and stake into the ground, it's my integrity when it comes to doing these shows. And more importantly than my integrity, it's my honesty. I think it's what separates me from a lot of people that make content for hateful reasons, for people that are looking for simple clicks and likes instead of actually going out and trying to produce a show that people are going to enjoy. So I have to say this wholeheartedly. If this turns out to be the deal, and we do not get any single player content, I'm gonna come out and I'm gonna be mad as hell. Okay, I'm not saying that I'm owed anything. I'm saying that the Xbox community are owed at least a gameplay trailer that shows us something running in 4K with ray tracing and everything. And if they cannot deliver that, then I'm going to have to really question what the hell is going on at 343. Because as important as the multiplayer is going to be, and I think it's going to be very important because it's going to be free to play the first time ever. It's going to be available on PC, not the first time ever, but still an important thing. And of course, because I still think Master Chief is going to find his way into Smash Brothers, they're looking to attract an audience, a much younger Fortnite audience, into Halo. I think that, yes, you want to make multiplayer the focal point. This is for our die hard fan multiplayer Halo players. I hear you, but you cannot walk away with a half-cocked single player event. I'm sorry. I think it would be an absolute miss after what happened last year in July. I think that we are owed a full-on if you don't want to give us a 14-minute vertical slice like Sony has been doing with their games, I understand that there's only so much time in the show, but you gotta give us something. Pong, am I overanalyzing this? Am I wrong for suggesting that this would be an epic fail if they don't deliver on single player as well?
Yeah, let me bring a little sunshine to your cloudiness here, Boom. I think that there is plenty of time to do more with Halo and to have a big giant Halo showcase at some point later this year. I know it's E3 and I know the spotlight's going to be on it. And I think that you're not wrong in wanting to see more from the single player campaign and to see maybe some of the improvements and polishing that they've been doing over the past 7 months or so. I think it's okay to feel that way for sure, and I think that we probably will get a small glimpse at single player. But if they want to focus heavily on multiplayer, which is the bread and butter, so to speak, of Halo, then I don't think that I don't think that's wrong either. And I think that the expectations are going to be different for everybody, but I think since we have not really seen the multiplayer at all, other than some, pictures, screen captures and stuff posted, I think that would be a good thing to do, is to kind of reverse it. Since, last year they showed off the single player campaign and we didn't get any of the multiplayer. I think to reverse it, give us a small snippet of the single player, but then heavily focus on the multiplayer, which everybody is curious about. Probably announce some type of flighting or a beta for that multiplayer would be a huge moment in itself, and I think worthy of an E3 showcase. And I think there's a lot. Mav can probably speak on this more than me, since I'm more of a casual Halo fan. But I'm actually really interested to see if they show off Forge and they show off what people can do, because Forge is huge to the Halo community, huge in all aspects. And if what behind the scenes has been said about Forge is anywheres near true, from what I've heard, the Forge is going to take a huge leap. And I think that there's a way to show this off at E3 to get people excited about the possibilities and the potential for this. Now, back to your single player stuff, Boom. with them switching over and having a 10-year plan for Halo, according to them, and with what they are trying to do as far as expansions go, and how they're going to try to grow out the single player, I think that itself probably lends better to a individual kind of Nintendo Direct style or State of Play style showing later this year, maybe at one of the other shows coming up. But I think that they might, because of the anniversary, have a actual special kind of gigantic showcase for it later this year to bring all of the aspects together into one, right? So to show off all the single player, we'll already probably have the Halo multiplayer beta going, and bring it all and wrap it all up in one pretty present and give it to us all at one shot. And I think that there's nothing wrong with doing that. And I think if the multiplayer is ready to rock and roll, which last year it was supposedly ready to go, and they've spent all this time just refining it even more to show off your best aspect of that game right now, is I think a good idea. And again, I don't have a problem with it. If they want to show a small snippet, I think they do need to show some kind of slice of the single player just to give us a glimpse as to what the polishing has done and accomplished for this long. But I think if you're going to focus on something during E3 when the world is looking at you, you go to your strengths. And your strength right now is the multiplayer. And I think that would be a positive step. I totally get what you're saying, Boom, but I don't think it's cloudy yet. I definitely think that there's some bright sun here if they are going to do it this way. And the E3 poster did show off that they were, there was no Master Chief there. There was just Spartans, that they're going to show off this multiplayer because that's what they're focused on right now. So be it. Then I think that's the way to go. Make it a big grand showing, show us off Forge, show us off a lot of the different modes, and give everybody that beta, multiplayer beta date that obviously millions of people are waiting for, and really get that hype going for that aspect of it.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I agree with you what you're saying, and I take nothing away with it. If that's what it has to be, that's what it has to be. But at the same time, I want to read the super chat that came in from Lord Roughness, a generous friend of the show. He drops an outstanding files from Jenny. Says, real talk, Boom, 343 must, in all capitals, rewrite the mistake from last year. I'd let them off the hook if they show last year's gameplay with all next-gen goodness. And I've actually said that if you really wanted to, show everyone what you guys have been up to, because you got to think about this for a second, folks, okay? The game is done. Joseph Staten has said it, that he has played through the game multiple times, and the story is incredible. He loves what they did. Coming from Joseph Staten, now you can say that, well, just a second, Boom, that's PR talk. I don't necessarily think so. I think Joseph came in because of what was going on, and he actually liked the story, because I don't think any changes came to the story. But with that said, Pong, from July to June, and I'm no mathematician, folks, okay? That's 11 months of polish. We must be shown something. I mean, I don't care if it's 5 minutes of him dropping out of a ship onto the surface and then shooting a couple of people and the screen goes black. But we need to see something. I understand that they want to focus on potentially Forge. I understand that they want to focus on multiplayer, but to be honest here, I don't necessarily think E3 is fitting or the platform to do that. I think that they could logistically have a multiplayer event that's controlled from Redmond and show us Forge and show us a 14 or 15 or even 20-minute demo of it running. I think E3 is for letting the players know that we're going to get an amazing experience. And this is the polish that we have put into this game for 11 months. That is my opinion on it. And again, you're not wrong. I hear what you're saying. And I know the clouds for you aren't really starting to form up. For me, it's already drizzling. So I you know what? I want to get what Mav has to say on this, and then we're going to get into the importance of a solid multiplayer, bringing Master Chief back, bringing Halo multiplayer back in a big way. Mav, what are your thoughts on this? This reveal from Jeff Grubb, who's someone who everyone in the industry trusts.
Yeah, I mean it's really interesting. I've been trying to since you told me that and had it in the DMs and stuff, and I would looked at it and I read what he said and everything. I've been trying to process exactly how I feel about that. I'm a huge Halo fan, right? And I'm personally not worried myself about the game, so I have to like put myself in other people's shoes and think about, hey, what's going to change their mind about their trepidations and everything, right? So that's the way that Xbox should also be thinking, right? So yeah, what you're saying makes sense, Boom, 100%. I don't disagree with you, but for me personally, I myself get excited about seeing a deep dive in the multiplayer because I haven't seen it yet, right? Like for me, I've seen the gameplay of the campaign, and I know, okay, I'm sold. Like that gameplay is for me, right? And then I see, okay, I don't know what the multiplayer is going to look like, and it's the most questions that I have as a Halo fan because I haven't seen anything except a couple of screenshots of some maps, right? And I play the campaign, and then I move on to multiplayer, and then I play multiplayer forever, and so on. So the multiplayer is equally important to me as the campaign, and I really want to see like what they're doing with that, right? Because it's very important. So to a lot of Halo fans, but also to me, and so that honestly kind of has me excited if they go in a deep dive. Now, what they cannot do is completely ignore the controversy because they kind of put it off, right? They've had their Halo Waypoint blogs and all that stuff where they've given updates, they've given screenshots and stuff, but this is the biggest stage, okay? This is the biggest stage they're going to get all year, bar none, right? So if they do want to make an impact, and all the people that are saying, "Oh, Halo's going to be garbage because of this or that or whatever," because it didn't have the engine features in the gameplay demo they showed before, so it wasn't complete. Now they thought it was like what Halo's going to look like, right? And it's not. That's not what the case was, right? So if they want to shut all those people up and they want to make the biggest impact, then they could have maybe a couple minutes of a video where they have somebody talking tech from the dev team explaining the new features in the slip space engine, showing some in-engine footage up to date of what the current build is of Halo Infinite, right? Something well put together, just like 2 or 3 minutes, okay? And show us that and let people be wowed by it, right? Let people be wowed by it. You have to be carefully selective about what you show so people don't try and zoom in on Brute's faces from the background and try and make controversy about it. You got to be careful and segment what you show and make it mind-blowing and show us that and have this amazing tech and everything that in there. And then then have the multiplayer blowout. And then the other thing is, like Pong was saying, is we still have time, right? One thing that they do with Halo usually is build the lead up of the story closer to launch. And that's kind of been their MO throughout the history of Halo. When it gets closer to launch, they do this thing where they start building up that hype for the story with different trailers and momentum. And with everything we have going into the 20th anniversary of Halo and Xbox, I expect there to be some kind of an event later this year.
Okay? There almost has to be a massive blowout for Halo. I mean, it's the 20th anniversary.
And the star of that show, 100%, will be Halo, right? Whatever they do for that. And it's going to be before launch of Halo, leading up to the launch of Halo. So you have to save the biggest goods story-wise and campaign-wise for that moment, in my opinion. So because it's only going to be a couple days before launch, and you don't want people picking it apart too early. You're going to have a couple days right before launch. Then I personally am super excited about that notion of multiplayer at E3, but maybe it's because I'm selfish. But they do need to address it. They need to address it some way to just prove to the people out there that, hey, this is everything's okay, right? And then I think we'll be good.
Yeah, I mean, listen, again, I'm not saying that Halo is not going to be good. I have tremendous faith that 343 is going to deliver, but man, I would be really disappointed if we don't get anything, in regards to somewhat of the single player.
Maybe a trailer, boom, like a single player trailer, just like
Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't care what they do. If you want to give me, if you don't want me, listen, I'm not expecting someone with hand-on controller. I'm just not expecting that. I don't think that they don't even need to do that anymore. I think they could logistically give us, a 2 or 3 minute or even a 4 minute a gameplay trailer of single player, then go into a deep dive of of multiplayer. Like I said, we're going to get into the importance of multiplayer, and I understand that is something that they haven't shown. In fact, let me just catch up with some of the super chats. We had a new channel member, Gerald Mack. Thank you for becoming a channel member once again, Gerald. Definitely appreciate that. Let me find the super chats that have come in after that. Our good friend, the Video Games HD. I think we know that cat. He drops an outstanding $5 super chat. Says, considering they showed off the campaign on 3 separate occasions, I think it'd be more positive messaging seeing multiplayer. Yes, I think the multiplayer is a major aspect of the conversation, and we're going to do our own deep dive into why I think it is super important. Gerald Mack drops an additional, besides being a channel member, he drops a $5 super chat and says, shout out to Mr. Boomstick and the panel. Great show, great topics, less than 2 weeks away from gaming Christmas. Indeed, absolutely. And I think we're okay, so we are caught up. Listen, let's segue into the importance of the multiplayer. Now, listen, some of my greatest multiplayer moments in my gaming history surround the Halo franchise. Not Halo 1, because obviously I played on console, and then they didn't have multiplayer. I didn't get into multiplayer on Halo 2. And Halo 3 is still one of my favorite Halos of all time for a host of reasons. But this look, I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I would not want to be 343 Studios. And I say that with the utmost respect for the talent that they have, because they're quite talented. I know that we've all, said, oh, the graphics on Infinite weren't as good as we would have expected. But you know what? They did bring us Halo 4, which still is an incredible looking game. But if you remember, that launched on the 360, and then Halo 5 Guardians. Not ashamed to say it, I did not like the story, but you cannot argue that the graphics are amazing. So I am really not too concerned with the graphics, but I think that the importance of Halo, its multiplayer, cannot be understated for a multitude of reasons. Obviously, Master Chief going into Fortnite was not an accident. That wasn't them releasing the Kraken, so to speak, of the importance of Master Chief's and his IP for the Emerald Green. Do I still think he's going to show up in Smash? I do. I think that's a E3 announcement for Nintendo, and I think that the reason behind getting Master Chief into Smash is to get all of those free-to-play gamers that are a much younger audience into Halo. These are the same audience that powers Fortnite, that powers many of the free-to-play games that everyone knows and loves, but Fortnite being one of them. And I think that if Microsoft, and more specifically Halo, want to break into this, multiplayer is free-to-play. We know that that's already confirmed, but it needs to be on an epic proportion with tons and tons of modes, with tons of customization, which I think we've seen. But I know the importance of it, but I'm interested to get Pong's soul and Mav's opinion. Pong, where do you levy the importance of knocking multiplayer out of the park? See, again, if you that Jeff Grubb thing, he said they want to appeal to the diehard Halo multiplayer audience. So we know that they're going back to their roots. For you, how important is multiplayer?
First off topic here, Boom, but I just have to say, you are a brave man for posting and allowing everybody to watch you play those sprint cars in Dirt 5.
Dude.
F those sprint cars.
You know what? Hashtag F those sprint cars, because I have skipped over every race. Those are the worst controlling cars. You know what? I'm not ashamed to say I'm a terrible driver. I'm a good driver, but not in sprint cars. You know what? I'm brave like that.
I was getting angry just watching the video all over again because I love Dirt 5, but F those sprint cars, man. Those are the worst. Anyways, as far as the multiplayer goes, yeah, I mean, again, as I was talking about earlier in our last topic, it is the strength of what makes Halo Halo. And yes, obviously the campaign is beloved, and we know that is obviously a big part of Halo. But what keeps people coming back is the multiplayer, right? And so you have to play to that strength, and that is a big piece of what is going to be. It's probably the largest piece of what's going to keep people engaged with Halo. And there's so much more competition now than back in the day when Halo was running the table, right? When Halo was everything. Now you have all of these, Call of Duty has obviously cemented itself. You've got the battle royales out there with Fortnite and Apex and all these coming along. So now Halo has an immense amount of competition.
Yes.
To try to get people into your game. And I think that's why it is a vital piece at this point that they show off the multiplayer, that they focus on the multiplayer and show what they're going to bring and what they are, what their little twists on the current popular, game mechanics are going to be. And if they can bring some different stuff to it, with the grapple and all that kind of stuff, which we've seen in other games, what I'm saying is if they could put a Halo twist on all this stuff and make it interesting, make it different enough, again, to bring new players in. They're not worried about the hardcore. Yes, they're going to play to the hardcore because they need that base, but you're going to have that base no matter what. You're going to have the Mavs of the world. You're going to have the 3-bits of the world no matter what at the end of the day, because they are so obviously invested in the Halo universe and in Halo multiplayer specifically, that they're always going to be there. Yes, you still have to make it good and you have to make it appeal to them, but their real job is going to bring in new players.
Yes.
Because those new players then are also going to discover the campaign, right? And they have Master Chief Collection out there, so get people into the Xbox ecosystem, which obviously we know Halo is going to drive some people to come into the ecosystem if they pull it off right. And so they're going to pull those people in. Then you got the Master Chief Collection. Everybody can go back and enjoy that. We've seen the popularity continue from the Master Chief Collection now that they've fixed it. So you've already got those people installed. But these new people coming in are going to have to find reasons why they're going to leave behind some of these other games that they're currently playing and go ahead and jump into Halo and be like, okay, now I want to spend most of my time here. And that's why the multiplayer aspect is going to be the biggest piece of this puzzle for Halo Infinite going forward. Again, I keep talking about it, but it's true. They come out and said it themselves, and we've heard this from other teams like Destiny, but 10-year plan. Now, whether or not that comes to fruition is going to depend a lot on that side of keeping people engaged in your game that entire time. And in order to do that, the appeal has to maintain a high level. And I think that's where I was talking about Forge, and that comes into play because we've seen so many different game modes be created by the Halo community themselves that have turned into official game modes within the game. And I think they're going to try to do that again on a whole nother level of Forge. If everything I've heard behind the scenes is true or close to being true, people are going to be able to create their own battle royale modes within Forge. Think about that. So you're going to have people outside of 343 put their creative spin on things, and who knows what you're going to get out of that. You could find a whole brand new game kind of mode or twist on battle royale that nobody's ever thought of before, and it could become the next big thing. And I think that's where you're going to see the longevity of Halo Infinite itself, is through that. And then with that comes, okay, now 343 can go ahead and expand the world, the universe, through the narrative. And if they're going to add different, pieces to that main campaign, and this is going to be more of a games as a service style, which they've talked about, well, cool. Then you've got that whole base waiting, playing multiplayer, playing all these different modes there, just waiting for those next pieces. As the next pieces drop, hey, they're going to call their buddies. They're going to be like, hey, you know what? That new DLC just dropped for Halo Infinite. Let's hop over there. Let's go check this out. That's what it's going to be. It's going to become more of a living world at that point. But you have to have the main piece, and the main piece for Halo always has been the multiplayer. That's what created this tentpole that they have in the Halo franchise. This whatever it is now, I think it's like a $6 billion franchise. I think it was evaluated at. That's where that came from. Was that, yes, the campaign was huge. Yes, the story and the lore is, we already know, godly. When it comes to a game franchise having that background, it's on another level, and they can do a lot with that. But that multiplayer is that drug that keeps people coming back. And without that, you really don't have a complete Halo. And so that has to be there, and has to be there in spades. So I think it's highly, it is one of the biggest priorities that 343 gets right. And that's why I will be happy to see a showing off of it, to show what they've done to take that aspect to the next level, and give people something new. It doesn't have to be all brand new. You can have all the classic stuff in there, which I know they will, but you got to have something a little bit new to entice people maybe who's been on the outside of Halo for a while to come on over and try it out. And obviously that all rolls into Game Pass. Buddies are going to, be able to say, hey, did you download Halo Infinite? If you haven't already, I don't know why you haven't. Everybody else has, but get on it because we need you over here right now to hop in here with us. That's going to be a huge part of this as well.
The two questions that I have for you.
Yep.
One is simple. One is you may have to sit back in your chair and answer. Sprint or no sprint is the one question. That should be easy for me. It's sprint. If you don't want sprint, there's something wrong with you. I'm going to say that right now. It's team hashtag sprint.
Yes.
The other question is, and this again, I don't want to put pressure on 343. But do you believe, and I'm going to pose this question to Mav as well, do they need to announce at this big multiplayer blowout that Jeff Grubb is saying is going to happen, that day and date multiplayer beta opens up?
Yeah, I do. I think they need to give that. If they're going to focus, first of all, yes, sprint, of course. Again, those are the parts of the hardcore that you kind of have to let go. Those people that want to hold your game back from ever advancing forward into current times. There's no reason to have big open multiplayer and not have sprint. It changes the dynamic. Okay, great. It changes the dynamic. You learn how to play with sprint. Okay, that's just a normal, evolution of any multiplayer game, especially at any point in the past, probably 20 years. So yes, that had to happen. But anyways, the as far as the multiplayer experience goes, if they show it off at E3, that yes, they do need to announce the date. I think that will be the one of those pieces of candy in that big giant bag that Phil is walking around down with, ready to drop on everybody to get the hype levels up. I think you drop the date for the beta, and you get everybody talking about it, because again, there's millions of people waiting for that date to be shown. And so I think once you do that, you put people through the top. Everybody starts talking about it. Other people hear about it and are like, oh wow, Halo's coming out with a beta. I got to jump in on this. Oh, it's open for every. Oh, let's go do this. We got to do this. Let's try it out. Let's see what's going on over here. Absolutely, you drop that date.
Okay, I mean that makes perfect sense to me. Mav, let's get you on this hefty Halo multiplayer, conversation that we're having. What are your thoughts on the original question? And then we'll get to your opinion on the back end of obviously sprint, no sprint, and multiplayer beta day and date. What are your thoughts on the whole multiplayer Halo? How important is it for the success of the game? Because listen, the one thing that I love about Xbox, especially in their mainstay franchises, is it's both sides of the coin that hold an equal importance. You can't talk about Gears of War and only talk about the multiplayer, or only talk about the single player. That's the same thing when you talk about a Forza franchise. As important as it is to have a single player aspect, it's even more important to have the multiplayer aspect. Well, that's the same thing with Halo, and I think Halo started this conversation, and I think they should end it. How important do you feel a good showing is going to be to break into the demographic of the Fortnites and Apex Legends and all the other free-to-play games to get that younger audience?
It's extremely important, because that's where they've lost their way, right? Where it became, where there was like in this medium place where it was kind of for the hardcore Halo fans, but then they're kind of changing a few things here and there, and it kind of upsetting some of them, but it's really not drawing enough new players in. And especially with the ecosystem the way it was the last generation, it kind of like hurt them as well, right? So inviting new players in excites me as a Halo purist, right? Like I love Halo multiplayer. Halo 2 changed the landscape of gaming forever, right? Halo 2 multiplayer, specifically with online gaming, solidified Xbox Live as a service, right? Without Halo 2, we don't know exactly the state of what would have happened with Xbox Live, right? Every game after that was a shooter multiplayer game took things from Halo 2. Okay. It is extremely important because the campaign draws people in, it attracts people, and it makes people get excited. Oh, I get to play this amazing story. I'm going to love it. All this stuff, like you got all this lore and everything. But the thing that sustains, the thing that keeps you coming back, as Pong was saying, is the multiplayer. Once you get into it, and if Halo has this very highly easy to pick up and play, but it's also very skill based with the online. So it's very deep as far as the skill goes with the multiplayer gameplay. So it has a very competitive. It draws people in. It has the ability to hook people. Now you need to draw people in, right? So going free to play is that method, right? It's going to draw in a massive audience that's never even touched Halo before. And as a Halo purist, you could say, "Oh, that sucks. They're going to make Halo something that is not for me anymore." I don't think that's the case at all. I think they're going to invite people that have never touched Halo and to finally get to see how awesome it is, right? And that is going to be a huge thing, because making it free to play, it's going to have the opportunity to be the biggest Halo game and have the most sustainability than any Halo game probably before it. With being on PC, console, being able to play it through xCloud on mobile, being free to play. The accessibility of this game is mind blowing, right? They're going from the jump. So it is crucial to nail it. If you go out there and you have a bad experience and you have like bad gameplay, it's unbalanced, like it's crappy servers, all these things. If they don't show the goods and have good mechanics and stuff, or if they try and go like too deep into like weird like like they had with the Halo 5, the packs, the requisition packs and stuff.
The rec packs, yes.
With stuff like that, it's like it can just kind of like ruin an experience, right? So they just need to really go big or go home with this. Show us all the customization options that you're going to bring. Show us how the weapons are going to work. Show us the stuff that we really, the Halo purists, like care about, like the little nitty gritty of like the mechanics with the weapons and stuff. Like how does the guns sound? You know what I mean? There's all these like little things that they need to show, but I think that's going to satisfy the purists, but it's also going to bring in a huge audience. And dude, I'm super excited because if they nail it, then Halo has the potential to become the most popular shooter again, right? And Halo deserves that for me. It really does.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, listen, I'm gonna be honest with you. I think we're gonna get the complete package. To be completely honest, all I have for Halo right now is a tremendous amount of confidence. I think 343 is going to deliver. Look, if they didn't have a change at the top, right, I might have some concerns. But the fact that we someone that originated on the that was there from the beginning with Bungie, reprising his leadership role at 343 in Joseph Staten, I think that the ship is being steered correctly. Now, obviously, this game has been in development for a long time. I don't think we're going to get any major changes. As a matter of fact, like I said, I will reiterate, Joseph Staten has played through it. He said this multiple times, and he loved what they did. So that has me very excited for sure. But in regards to the multiplayer, I think that listen, you can say whatever you want about the single player in Halo 5 Guardians, and I have said that I voiced my opinion clearly that I was not a fan. But you cannot argue how incredible the multiplayer was in Warzone. I am looking for, and I think when I read that thing from Jeff Grubb, he was talking to me. I'm a big team battle guy. Like that is where I really enjoy Halo multiplayer, and I'm hoping, because of the power of the consoles, because of we've seen such an advancement in online, I hope we can get a 25 on 25. Hell, I would love to see 50v50, to be honest with you. I don't know what the size is going to be. Is it going to be old school 12 on 12? I hope it's much bigger than that, because we've seen Battlefield do it. So I'd love to see Halo return with that kind of tenacity, if you will. But my final two questions to you is sprint or no sprint, Mav, and more importantly, I forgot what my second question was regarding Halo. Oh, do you think it's necessary that they do a stealth drop at the end of this Halo aspect of E3? You guys can play the beta now. Is that important?
Okay, so I'm going to be a little bit controversial here. I prefer Halo without sprint.
Holy matrimony, but that's okay. Your opinion still counts.
But turn that movement speed up, right?
Okay, that makes sense. Okay,
if you turn the movement speed up, it just works. Okay, so they don't have to like take Halo 2, okay, or Halo Reach or Halo 3. If you imagine those games, okay, you just turn that movement speed up a little bit. You don't need the sprint function. Okay, the reason I don't like sprint is because Halo is about fast reactionary gameplay. Okay. Being able to aim quickly on the fly, and it's about that skill of being able to like aim, shoot right then and there, turn around, aim, shoot. It when you're sprinting, it takes away the ability for you to shoot your gun, right? Like you should always, in Halo is always in the classic Halo games, it's always been about, hey, just the gunshot's always a trigger away, right? Sprint function takes that away, and I don't like that. But if they just move the movement speed up, it makes it feel newer without taking that fast reactionary gameplay away. Okay. Next, I'm going to throw in another thing that may surprise you. I don't need aim down sights. Halo. That's another thing. Okay, Halo was great before they made the left trigger have aim down sights. I don't need that. I got the right stick zoom. I'm good to go. Okay. Just give me that reticle on the screen. Let me zoom in with the right stick, click, and I'm gravy with the scope. I don't need aim down sights. I don't need sprint. I want to be able to aim and shoot as quickly as possible, right? And that's one thing that Halo always was, but this newer style kind of changes those mechanics a little bit. So it actually changes the way the game feels. So if you play like Master Chief Collection, and all of those games, they have a very similar feel to the mechanics and the way they flow and the gameplay. But then you jump into Halo 5, and it's like, whoa, this feels really different, right? So I'm kind of more of a purist in that way, but I'm okay either way, right? Like I'm not gonna like not play it, or I'm not saying, hey, this is garbage if you have aim down sights and sprint, because I understand, right? Like you need to appeal to the masses, all that stuff, and I want Halo to be big. The bigger it is, the more successful it is, that means the more Halo I get to play, because there will be more Halo stuff that comes out because it's so popular, right? So I'm okay, like either way, but I prefer no aim down sights. I prefer no sprint. And then do they need to, is it important that they shadow drop a beta at E3? I would say if you want to make a splash and you want to create a moment, that'll be a holy crap excitement moment for a lot of people.
I agree.
Right? And that will, even if everybody's kind of like, oh, they didn't show us this, they didn't show us that, just knowing that, hey, I can go freaking play Halo right now, that's just going to erase everybody's like, okay, doesn't matter. I'm going to go play Halo. So we'll talk about it later. You know what I mean? Like that would be insane. I would absolutely love it. If it doesn't happen, it's not the end of the world. You know, they can do it within a couple months after E3 and it'll still be okay. And that may be the most likely scenario, like maybe like August, September, sometime that we get that. But wow, if they did that, even if it was just for like 3 days, right? That would be absolutely insane. So yes, I'll say it's important because I want to be wowed.
Okay, yeah, I mean, and I agree. I think that would be one of those you walk away moments in E3. Like, oh man, the beta's up now. All right, let's go. You know what I'm saying? And you're skipping the Sony conference because you're like, well, you know what? Screw Sony. I'm gonna go play some Halo. And I think that you really, because the one thing that they've been known for, and this is going all the way back into the Bungie days, is their betas were usually a couple of months before launch. And, you know, obviously this, you know, event's in June. And, you know, we're getting the launch November 15th. They haven't given the official date, but that's, I mean, if you really want to, you know, celebrate the day, 20 years to the day of Master Chief, you release Halo Infinite on the 15th, whatever day that falls out to be. You just deal with it. You make it a celebration. But this has been a great show. Great 90 plus minutes of passionate opinions. I know some people in the chat weren't happy with some of the things I had to say, but you know what? Listen, the one thing you will get from me is honesty. I'm not trying to do this for clicks or likes. I would prefer that you did like the video, and of course you help promote it, but I'm not going to sit here and BS you to make you happy that you tuned in. If you enjoy the content, then you will continue to tune in. And if you don't, well, you know what you can do. You can go unsubscribe and not listen to me, and that's fine. That's fine. I'm not mad either way, but I am going to give it to you honestly, and sometimes that's raw. And I have a lot of opinions about Halo because it's a brand that I really enjoy, and I want them to succeed. And this tiptoeing around the conversation of, can Halo be great again? I'm not going to do it. It has to be great again. And it's not that I want it to be. It absolutely has to be. And I think we are going to get that. But let me just catch up with some of the super chats. We have a new channel member, generous friend of the show, Reggie Mobile 9 became a channel member once again. Reggie, thank you so much for that, brother. Davikin 89, he says, hey Boom, check your Twitter DM. I'm not sure which one that you're looking for, because I had a couple of messages, Davikin, but I will definitely check it out after the show for sure. And I think that actually might be, we are up to date with super chats. Of course, I want to thank everyone who was generous enough to donate to Double Barrel Gaming. Of course, I want to thank all of the new old channel members. And of course, if you enjoyed today's show, please, on your way out, hit the like button. I would definitely appreciate it. Of course, let's get to the outros and we'll get everyone out of here. And we'll start with Pong. So Pong, you got a lot going on. You're a busy man on top of your real work life. You got an amazing show on Saturday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time with Steel Rain. And I listen to it almost every Saturday when I'm making breakfast for Mrs. Boom after our hike in the morning. And of course, you're on Mav's program. But what else you got going on, brother?
Thanks, Boom. Man, what an awesome Tuesday. Like I said, been a long weekend, lots of busyness going on, but man, this was a great way to jump back into the gaming aspect of things and talk and have great discussions, obviously with yourself and my brother from another, Mav. So this was great. Thank you so much, Boom. Again, chat, you guys were incredible. As always, discussion continues in there, and I love to see it. I love to read your comments. So awesome job. Thank you so much for coming out and supporting us as always on Xbox Factor Podcast. Appreciate you. You guys can find me, Pong Soul, everywhere. Obviously, Xbox and Twitter. And Friday nights, as you were just talking about, Boom, and I'm sure Mav will do an even better job at this than me, but you can find me on Xbox Ultimate with my extended family over there. Mav, his beautiful wife, Caitlin, and of course, the rest of the Magnificent Seven. And Mav has been absolutely killing it with the guests lately. We've been having great show after great show after great show. So come check us out there, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, 8 o'clock Central Time. Saturday mornings, Steel Rain and myself are waking you up on Living Split Screen being all one word. Come find us. We are still growing. We want to continue to grow. We just are having such a great time. We went 2.5 hours, him and I, last weekend, and it just keeps going and going and going. So come check us out there, Living Split Screen, and go follow my brother, Steel Rain. The T is a 7, so go check him out as well. And then Saturday nights, the Shop Podcast with PTK Blam, Fuzzy Belvedere, Centurion, and Stagorilla. Come check us out, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 o'clock Central Time. We are wrapping up your Saturday night in the best way possible, so come see us there. But otherwise, thank you all again. Appreciate all of you. Love you all. Play some games, all right? We'll talk to you guys real soon.
Yes, absolutely. And of course, Mav, thank you for guest appearing and stepping in for Zemi Games as he handles some personal and school business. He'll be back hopefully in a couple of weeks. Mav, you got a lot going on. You've been injected into this community in a big way. You've been doing some great things. I'm proud to have you on this show today. And when we've worked together in the past, tell everyone about what you got going on your incredible YouTube channel. And more importantly, where could people reach out to you on social media?
Thanks for the kind words, Boom. You're freaking awesome, man. And Pong was a blast as always. Hey guys, so you can check me out on Twitter at Fun Speculation. We'll get all the updates for the channel. Also on YouTube, the channel is Fun Speculation, where we have Xbox Ultimate Podcast, as Pong said, on Friday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern. Also, we have Fun Pop Podcast at Thursday nights at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And that one, we talk about movies, TV shows, Marvel's, DC, comic books, and more. We have a great time, and that's with 3-Bit and Psychonauts. Also, I stream quite a bit, so just come hang out, say hello.
Yes.
That's on the same channel as well. So, hey, I'm working right now on this video project for E3. It's going to probably launch a couple days before E3. Boom and Pong.
That was awesome, dude.
It's
Yeah,
been-
do me a favor, brother. Take a few minutes to tell people about this project, because not only am I a part of it, so of course I want to push it, but it's so interesting. It's such a cool freaking project. No one has done this before. Talk about it for a few minutes there, Mav.
Yeah, thanks, Boom. So I hit me like just when I was driving around. I was like, hey, I wanted to have a different kind of E3 prediction show, right? Where we had like we have our regular show with the panel and everything and all that kind of stuff, and which is awesome, right? Always love that stuff. But before I started podcasting, I was inspired by some other groups out there, Easy Allies, and other shows like that, and they've always done these kind of like video prediction things. So I was like, I want to do something that I can spend some more time on, actually trying to bring some different things together. So I just sent out a bunch of DMs to some of my friends in the community, so I expected a few people to get back to me, but surprisingly enough, like everybody said yes, and it absolutely blew my mind. And so what I'm doing is putting together a video that's going to be an E3 prediction, like fun speculation show that's going to hit on the channel a couple days before E3, and it's going to feature a lot of people in the community, where I did a bunch of sit-down interviews with everybody, asked them specific questions, got predictions from them. I am chopping this up into a one long video. I don't know how long it'll be. I'm trying to keep it nice and tight.
It's going to be a big video, dude.
Yeah. The response again has been absolutely astounding. The people that have taken a part in it, and again, thank you, Boom, and thank you.
I was very long-winded, folks. I don't think that comes off as a surprise.
Yeah, well, what I'm gonna do, Boom, because like I have to chop up this video also to make it like to where it's not like 8 hours long, right? So I'm going to like chop it up and get everybody's answers and make it fun and entertaining, and then I'm going to make available the long form of each interview segment.
Nice.
Boom segment's going to be its own video, right?
Probably. You know me, I go to Speculation Town quite often.
It's just going to be a blast seeing all these different people from the community in one video. And it was an absolute. This is the last like week and a half doing this has been some of the most fun and most humbling moments I've actually had, like since I started doing content creation, period, just because the interactions with every single different person doing this has been absolutely amazing. Good times, lots of laughs. I can't wait till it all comes together.
Well, we're definitely looking forward to that, and of course, having you guys be a part of this, community has been a plus. You definitely add a lot of fun, and great ways to interact. You guys are real, and that's why I love working with you on a daily basis, weekly basis. Of course, I want to thank everybody once in the chat. We had almost 400 people here. That is awesome. We want to keep growing Double Barrel Gaming. I want to thank the super chats that continue to come in. Obviously, we just started that again. And of course, all the outstanding new old channel members that have rejoined. I want to thank you for showing me the most utmost support I've ever asked. Again, when we do these shows, we don't really ask for anything, and you always respond in such a big way. So, of course, I want to thank you, Mr. and Mrs. Boomstick. Would like to see you, because obviously Mrs. Boomstick is a big part of this channel. And of course, I want to wish everyone a wonderful Tuesday. And I'm going to close out the show with something that's important to me. Hopefully, one day, folks, it'll be important to you. And that's something that my dad taught us when we were kids. And I think now, more than ever, it's ultra important. He said, son, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, and I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. We'll see you on Thursday's new edition of the Xbox Factor podcast.